This is episode 330 of the Super League Pod, and while some nicknames don't land or don't stick, one man and his nickname lose large on proceedings. From the England squad announcement where he hasn't slivered back into the reckoning, through to the Super League match reviews where he twists and turns his opponents inside out. Of course, we'll cover the men who did make the England training squad and the rest of the Super League action with your fan reviews as well. We pick up on some Challenge Cup, Championship, wheelchair and humanitarian news as we go too. So strap in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 330 of the Super League Pod, episode 4 of the new year. I can't remember. 4, wouldn't it be? There you go.
It's amazing how quickly you get back in the flow, isn't it?
Yeah. As you've heard, this week you've got myself, Mark, and I'm joined by Alan. Hello, Alan.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's had a good weekend.
Yeah, belated happy birthday to you for whilst you've been away in between appearances.
Yeah, but when you're 42, it don't count. That's what everyone tells me. So.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I still count it. But, you know, unlike my wife, I just have a one-day celebration where hers lasts a week or more sometimes. So. There you go.
Fair enough. Well, do you want to tell us about someone that always counts when it comes to SLP?
Yes, so Super League Pod is supported by Rob's Megastore. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and craft ideas, pet accessories, books and, of course, Rugby League birthday cards. You can search for Rob's Megastore on eBay and find the link on our episode blog post at superleaguepod.com. SLP listeners can use the code SLP10, that's SLP10, at checkout, and they'll get 10% off any order over £5. Or you could enter SLP discount and give your 10% towards funding SLP's running costs instead.
Great stuff. Thanks, Rob's Megastore. So we've got, coming up on the show, we've got a few little bits of feedback to pick up on from last week's show. One very freakish one that came about that I think we need to share with everyone. We're going to hit on the England training squad in a bit of focus. So we've had some views in during the day today, whilst after that was named. So we'll try and cover that off, as well as thinking of any other points of view that we might not have had in yet, but we know that'll be floating around about that. We've got round 3 of Super League to recap. Another good week for fan reviews, particularly on the televised games, but also a decent amount for a couple of the non-televised games as well, which is really positive. And then Challenge Cup round 4, we'll give the results for that. We'll take you through the round 5 draw that was made after round 4 concluded. Then we'll make our guesses for round 4 of Super League. So I think we should get into a few bits of feedback, Alan. I'm going to start by just mentioning, we talked about guest hosts for the show. We've got a few slots coming up this year. We've had a few, I'm trying to think how many. I think 3 people have put the name forward for the 22nd of March show. A few other people have said they can do other shows, but not that one. So I think I'm going to have to do a names in a hat approach for that show. It's in 3 weeks' time, so we don't have long to figure that out. So we've got our good friend and former referee Paul O'Brien. We've got Wigan fan Lee, and we've got another Wigan fan, David, as well, actually. So we could have an all Wigan situation, or we could have a bit of Widness seeping in. So I'll get that names in a hat situation sorted out soon this week, and then I'll get in touch with whoever comes out of that. It'll be, you'll join me either on Skype or Zoom for the show, I guess, is what's gonna happen. So thanks for all the interest, though, from people who've got in touch either about the show coming up in March or the ones down the line. We've already got Lee Whitnell lined up for the one in May. He's been a guest host people have enjoyed before in the past, and we've got a slot in August. I think former listener of the year, Tom Andrews, is up for that one. So we've got, and then there's another one yet to be decided, I think. So good stuff there. some super keen observers might have noticed a strange coincidence with last week's show, Alan. So last week's show was recorded on the 22nd of the 2nd, 22, and honestly, Neil Ormston got in touch the next morning and said, editing to make the pod length 2 hours, 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Not a coincidence on 2 days Tuesday, surely. Do I get a prize for spotting it? Smiley face.
Well, before you, I thought exactly the same as Neil. I was absolutely convinced there'd be like 15 seconds of silence at the end, or something like that, or you kind of doing a bit of vibing to get it to 2 minutes, 2 hours, 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So Neil's not alone in spotting that. But yeah, that's weird. That's weird. If it's not deliberate, and I'm still not entirely convinced it wasn't deliberate, even though you
was not deliberate.
You can say what you like. There's some kind of the rugby league gods or the gods of somewhere have been in touch. And
well, last week's show, people might have picked up on there was a couple of instances where we kept it in where the connection was a little bit shaky because we managed to get it back quickly, but there was 2 times where we basically had to re-record small parts of the show because the line, one time it was David's line went dead, one time it was my line went dead. So genuinely,
the gods move in mysterious ways. That's all I'll say.
There was no planning involved, and yeah, that was pretty good. I thought in the end. We also had another bit of feedback on last week's show. Dr. Bob Phillips, he said, illuminating explanations of the penalties handed out by the match review panel, even more worth a listen than usual. So yeah, we hope other people got some value out of the bit we did last week, where we tried to take you through the process of the match review panel and then the disciplinary panel. I'm sure we'll be talking about some more bans this week, maybe nothing quite as controversial as last week's, but having said that, I've just seen that one of them's been challenged and downgraded, so I'm sure
that's going to go down well.
Yeah, all the people who last week thought this should downgrade everything now will think, well, you can't start downgrading stuff now and whatever. But yep, there you go. What about a bit of sad news in the last week? Alan, do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, so former Wigan Warriors player and dual code international Vega Twigamala has died at the age of 52. Twigamala started his career in Union, playing 19 times for New Zealand before switching codes to sign for Wigan. He made 102 appearances for the club between 1993 and 1997, winning 3 league titles, 2 Challenge Cups, a Premiership and a World Club Challenge.
Yeah, Inga the Winger, I don't know why we called him that when he played in the centres, but he was one of those characters that you immediately noticed on the pitch, and apparently he was a super guy off the pitch. If you read Jason Robinson's autobiography, he basically credits Inga for turning his life around.
Yeah.
For example,
I've read that myself, and it was I mean, I knew more of him as the player before I read that, and I mean, I think that says everything about him as a man. I think so. Yeah, it's an incredibly sad piece of news. Yeah,
observed. With lots of commemorations with Wigan at the week on the Thursday night game that day, but really sad news. And thoughts go out to Inga's family and loved ones.
Absolutely.
So thanks to the people who did get in touch this week. If you want to know how to get in touch and get involved with the show on social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/superleaguepod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com or visit superleaguepod.com to get the info on each episode, and that'll have links as well to the Google forms that you'll need to give us your fan views. That'll we will then share and discuss on the next show. And don't forget to subscribe in whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. Leave a rating and review in that podcast app if you can do. That's great. So that's how you can get involved, and I'm sure now we're going to get into stuff where loads of people have managed to get involved. We're going to talk about the England training squad.
So head coach Sean Wayne has named his first England training squad of obviously this year includes a mid-season international against the combined nation All-Stars again in June and the much waited for Rugby League World Cup in the autumn. So possibly the biggest news, England's leading try scorer Ryan Hall is back in the fold. The 34-year-old Hull KR winger has 38 caps, has been a regular for Tony Smith's side since he came back. Also within the 30-strong group are 7 uncapped players. So we've got Lewis Dodd, Matty Lees and Jack Wellsby from St Helens, plus Wigan's Kai Pierce-Paul and Liam Marshall. We've got Leeds' Harry Newman and Huddersfield's Jake Wardle as well. In terms of omissions from the squad, we're missing Hull FC halfback Luke Gale and his teammate Jake Connor, Warrington's Gareth Widdop and Wakefield winger Tom Johnston, and Jordan Abdul, a nominee for Man of Steel and debutant against France in England's end-of-season test last year.
Yeah, head coach Sean Wayne said, "It's a massive year for us, a great opportunity that we must be well prepared for. We've looked at a number of things in putting this training squad together. Form last year, performances in the All-Stars and France games, pre-season training and discussions around up-and-coming young players. The players included in this first session need to look like England players and train like England players. We want something extra from them at this level. The younger players coming through are a real credit to Paul Anderson and Paul Sculthorpe on the performance pathway, club coaches and junior coaches too. To me, it doesn't matter whether you're 17 or 37. If I think you can help us win a World Cup, you'll be in the squad. I've spoken to a lot of players and the ones not included at this stage know that they can still force their way in. It's an open book and I see some of them coming back in later in the year."
So that full squad is John Bateman, Liam Farrell, Zach Hardacre, Liam Marshall, Kai Pierce-Paul from Wigan Warriors, Darryl Clark, Mike Cooper, Ben Curry, Steph Ratchford, Jake Wardle from Warrington Wolves, Tom Davis, Sam Tompkins from Catalan Dragons, Lewis Dodd, Morgan Knowles, Matty Lees, Johnny Lomax, Tommy Makinson, Mark Percival, Alex Walmsley, Jack Wellsby from St Helens, Niall Evalds and Paul McShane from Castleford, Ryan Hall from Hull KR, Cruz Lehman and Harry Newman and Mikolaj Olejnik from Leeds Rhinos, Reece Lynn from Wakefield Trinity, Jermaine McGilvray from Huddersfield and Dan Sarginson from Salford Red Devils.
We'll cover off some fan views first because I guess that'll touch on most of the big talking points. Fatboy Rob hits us with a real serious one to start with. He says, "No Eden, angry face." I think Greg Eden's obviously not an England player and this was a joke. But yeah, good one.
Yeah, slightly more seriously. John Scotter says, some serious questions need asking. More than half of the squad, Saints, Wigan, are old boys. Does Wayne not have the bus pass to house him out further?
Well, he got to Warrington as well, didn't he? So not much further.
Are Hall and McGilvray really the best wingers around or just the heaviest? Tom Johnson, Darnell McIntosh, anyone? What's Sargentson done in years to merit a place? Harry Newman needs to at least get in the park before inclusion, as good as he is. The big question is, where the hell is Connor, the most creative player in Super League? Maybe behind Tompkins in some calls, but would be worthy of bench slots with versatility to cover 1 to 7 and has played 13 at Huddersfield in the past.
Lee Whitnell says, "On the face of it, there are some aging players that might cause a stir, but this is about continuing to build a culture, and Wayne knows what he's doing with this. Personally, I'd make space for Widdop, but there's no evidence to suggest that my club bias can win a World Cup."
Mark W says, important to remember this is just a training squad. Absolutely. A good mix of World Cup candidates, youngsters we want in the international setup, and experienced international players who can help bring the youngsters on. Sargentson and Lynn are the only ones that don't fit those categories for me. Having said that, Sargentson is a fullback and a centre, so including him means we can get the traditional "where's Jake Connor" meltdown. It's going to be even more spectacular. And people say Sean Wayne doesn't care about being entertaining.